Hi guys, it's Heather Morrison, and I'm coming at you today to talk about prioritization. Prioritization means things that are meaningful, contribute high value, and result in the highest impact. So it seems obvious, but without a clear sense of priority, most of us let our attention wander to less important tasks. So there's a study that was done that says 41% of workers waste their time on low value tasks. So we're going to talk about how to change that today. Number one, I've got 5 little tips coming at you today. Number one, take back the power of choice. So imagine you're walking into a car lot with a wad full of cash and you find a really over aggressive salesman. Will you walk out of there with the car that you want, or are you going to walk out of there with the car that they thought that you should go home with? This is the same thing that happens in our calendars all the time. If you don't have a decision-making plan to anchor to, you're going to spend your day fulfilling other people's priorities. They've already worked out their priorities, and now they're trying to figure out how you're going to fit into their priorities. Don't allow them to do that. Figure out your priorities first, and then figure out how they work into your plan. So you're letting other people, your manager, your colleagues, or friends choose for you. If you don't choose your priorities, someone else will. So one of the ways I like to figure out what my priorities are, or I shift the language just a little bit. Instead of saying I have to, fill in the blank, I say I choose to, or I get to. And what this allows me to do is feel a little bit more empowered about the decisions that I'm making and whether or not those are the right decisions for me. So if I say something like, I choose to work on my website today, it feels a little bit more empowering that that's what I get to do with my time, or I get to decide if maybe there's something else I need to be doing and work on that. Again, that's the power of choice. And by saying I choose to, that really emphasizes that in your mind, really locks that in your mind. Number two, narrow your focus. So successful people don't do more things, they actually do less better, okay? So this means you need to ruthlessly prioritize your most important work on a regular basis, okay? This is not an easy task to do, or we'd all be doing it, right? This is kind of a difficult task to do. So decide what's the most important thing I should be doing. Here's a couple of questions you can use to filter through. Is this the right thing for me? Meaning, can you provide unique value? If anybody can do this, does it really make the most sense for you to be doing, or is this something that you can delegate to someone else, right? Is this the right time for me to do this? Meaning, does this really need to happen right now? Or if I created that thought in my head and I can do this at a later time, right? So that's another filtering question for you. Am I doing this for the right reasons? This goes back to the power of choice. This allows you to say to yourself, am I really doing this for the right reasons, or am I doing this to stroke my ego, right? Am I making an enthusiastic choice about doing this, or am I just doing it because someone asked me to do it and I feel bad and saying no? Okay, another really empowering question to ask yourself. Number 3, put your most important work in an ordered list. I know that sounds really basic, but here's the difference between an ordered list and a brain dump. I love doing brain dumps. I do them all the time. There's all of these things floating around in my head like a snow globe. I dump them out on a piece of paper. Whew, that feels great. But now I'm looking at a piece of paper and not knowing where to start. So go back to that brain dump of yours and put things into a list of priorities. What's the most important task first? Here's an interesting thing. The word priority came into the English language in the 1400s. It wasn't until the 1900s when it actually became a plural. The word priority by definition means one important thing, but we've turned it into priorities. You see the difference? So now we've got all these priorities. Everything needs to be done right now. It's the most important thing. It can't be the most important thing. So figure out what your most important thing is. That goes dead center right on the top of your to-do list. And then you've got some of the things that are probably important, but not as important. List them in order of importance, right? This is to keep you from doing laundry when you actually should be doing working, because the laundry is something that's easy to cross off your list. And it's not something that you actually prioritized. You just threw it down on a brain dump list and went to work, okay? So go back through and prioritize from most important to least important. Don't get distracted from your priority. That's number 4. Okay. There's a study that's been done that says that every 3 minutes and 5 seconds, we change our focus, right? Then it takes us another 23 minutes to get back to that original focus. So think about that. Every 3 minutes and 5 seconds, you're shifting your focus to something else, not intentionally most of the time, but it's that shiny object syndrome, right? That squirrel syndrome. And then it takes us 8 times that amount to get back on task, 23 minutes, to get back on task, okay? The world that we live in now is designed to destroy your ability to focus. Your time and attention is the hottest commodity, especially when you're on apps like Facebook, right? That's what we've been designed to do. We've been designed to no longer read really lengthy articles. Everything's now in a little snippet, a little tidbit, right? So the neat thing is that, especially working from home, you get to design your distraction-free environment yourself. So create that standard distraction-free ritual that you can activate every time you need to move into focus mode. What does that mean? That means turning off all the distractions on your phone. It means turning off all the distractions on your computer. There's certain applications that you can use that will limit your browsing time. Okay? Distraction-free zone, because once you get into the flow of something, you can get so much work cranked out if you're not being distracted every 3 minutes and 5 seconds. That statistic blows my mind, but I know that because I felt that myself. Like, I cannot focus, or I'll go to work on my website and then I need to figure out what fonts I use. So I go to someone else's website for inspiration, and then I get lost down the rabbit hole of finding out what they're doing in their business, and I should be incorporating that into my business. Put on the brakes, get really prioritized about your one thing, and then put on that distraction filter, right? That anti-distraction filter. Number 5, schedule your time on your calendar for your top priority. Okay. So after you've gone through your brain dump list, then you create that list of things in the order of most important to least important. Take that priority and block out at least 2 hours on your calendar every week. Better yet, 2 times on your calendar, twice a week, okay? Just your top priority. That's where you're going to sit in your focus mode, okay? Work when your energy is at your peak. So for most people, this is mid-morning, like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. But if you're not sure what that is for you, you can find out what's called your chronotype. You can just Google that, find out my chronotype, and find out when your peak energy hours are, and try to do the focus time during your peak energy hours. Okay, so you're going to block off at least 2 hours of time. That's deep work mode. You're going to try to block off 2 hours a week. Okay, and you're going to try to work when your energy is at its peak. And while you're at it, this is the last little tip I'll leave you with. Schedule a 15-minute planning time for every Monday morning. Okay, your first priority anyway should not be sitting down and looking at everyone else's emails, or your emails, which is everyone else's priorities for you. But your first goal in the morning is to sit down, especially on Monday mornings, to sit down and figure out your week, what that looks like, where you need to be, who you need to be in contact with, etc. It'll just allow you to kind of ease into your morning and not just hit the ground running like you're a fireman trying to figure out which fire to put out first. So I hope these tips have helped. Once again, to recap, you're going to take back your power of choice. Instead of saying I have to, you're going to say I get to. You're going to prioritize your most important work on a regular basis, okay? You're going to focus on a most important list, not the most urgent list. Given a choice, most people will go for what's urgent because those are quick things that we can mark off our list versus what's most important, which are usually tasks that require a little bit more time. So make an order of important lists. Number 4, resist distraction. And number 5, don't let urgent tasks steal your time. Block out those work zones for yourself. I hope this has served you well, and I will catch you later with some more tips on productivity. Bye for now.